If you go to the next slide, the single most important factor in overcoming the negativity bias, which is basically we're all built in from birth to protect ourselves, which is why the caveman was running away from the saber-toothed tiger. So overcoming that is how we talk to ourselves about our experiences and the world around us. So just keep that in mind as we keep moving forward. So
are you there, Beth? We might have lost you for a moment.
Yeah, I think she froze. Let's give her a moment.
I would like to say I can speak to this slide, but I don't have the capabilities to speak as eloquently as Beth will.
We appreciate that, Frankie.
Frankie can do anything.
It's a coconut.
I thought that slide actually might be a little caricature of me. My kids would say so in the morning.
yeah.
For sure.
Oh, it looks like Beth jumped right out.
I think that's every mom in the morning.
Yes, definitely.
Did you say every mom in the morning, Kat?
Every mom in the morning.
Yes. Yes, I don't wake up looking like this. It's a lot of work.
Does anybody remember the slide right before this one? Thank you.
sorry, guys. Sorry about that. We have a storm here in Dallas that must have happened. So if you can move on to the next slide with the coconut girl. Everybody's back with us, I hope. Or
I
I'm
love
back.
the coconut girl.
Thank you. So how I described myself this a long time ago is basically in college. I had a lot of trauma in my teenage years, and so I said I have this hard shell on the outside, but if you make it through, if you have the patience and persistence to make it through, I've got the sweet stuff in the middle. So that's what the false self is, actually putting those walls up around you for whatever your reactions are to keep you safe. And again, this is a very high level, but I wanted you guys to kind of understand the concept, and we can always dig into them further later. But the true self, on the other hand, if you'll pull that one up, she emerges when I feel safe. And so I call her Marshmallow Girl. She happens to be the nice, gooey center that is loving and happy and just glad to be on the planet and be experiencing life. And so what's really important here is there is actually a stuffed bunny under her arm. And the reason for that is to promote self-soothing. So I don't think for a long time in our lives, anybody has really taught us how to love ourselves, be compassionate to ourselves, or to soothe ourselves when we're hurt. And that's why we continue to experience negative outbursts and things like that with any kind of relationship, whether that's at work or at home. But when you feel safe, your true self can emerge. And so that self-soothing is something you can do to help yourself. So the third key takeaway is self-compassion is actually the foundation of emotional safety. So once you learn how to give that to yourself, and you can see the two characters are kind of embracing each other, like, okay, I know, I get you, I know you're here, I'm going to take care of you, right? So that's what you're essentially saying to yourself is, I'm going to take care of me because I'm ultimately the only one who knows how best to take care of me. And also that sets me up better to take care of others. So the three key takeaways are the inner dialogue that you have will create your reality. Don't forget that your defensive responses are completely normal and are actually hardwired into us as human beings. And self-compassion is the foundation for emotional safety. And what I'll say about that is, when you start to think about, this is just kind of the beginnings of the practice, right? And I'm just kind of introducing the top of the trees, where what you can do is when you recognize yourself having that negative mental moment and you haven't said anything out loud to anyone else, you try to reframe that and think of it from either, do I actually have all the facts? Is this actually accurate? How do I know this is true? You actually kind of have to start questioning your thoughts, because your automatic thoughts, sometimes automatic negative thoughts, don't deserve to have the power that we give them. So it's only in time, and the very first step is knowing that this is happening and that you can interrupt it. And all that is to interrupt it is taking a breath and kind of going, oh, I see that that thought is there, and that's probably not a healthy thought. So your false self is really trying to protect you. And so that's great. But then your true self can say, hey, I'm here, I got you. And you can start to have a lot more balance in your life of how you being less reactionary and more able to respond in a healthier way. So let's go to the next slide. We are starting a social movement to help the world suffer less, love more, and heal. That's New Groove's mission. And to that end, we're starting with children, actually. Making Friends with Feelings is for 4 to 8-year-olds with the intent to impact multiple generations at once, whether it's the parents, the grandparents, the aunts, the teachers, whoever buys this. We encourage a dialogue between the parent and child, because at the end of the day, Keith, my boyfriend who wrote this, and I both have struggled with depression for a long, long time. And we felt like if we could have learned just a little bit sooner that we don't need to stuff our emotions, that we can actually feel our emotions and process their emotions in a healthful way. We really want to try to help anyone, one person at a time, who's willing to listen or read the book or even consider this for themselves. So those are a lot of different ways to connect with me. And then if you'll go to the last page, we've got the discussion question. What percentage of the time do you consider your own thoughts if you're taking a step back and assessing? Do you live in your false self? Do you live in your true self? So this can be about your thoughts. It can also be about your actions. And it's interesting if you want to think about, where does that change? What happens when you're at home? What happens when you're by yourself? What happens when you're with coworkers? So those are just a couple different lenses to look through it at, or from.